Hi folks, today I'm going to talk about identifying data for either your individual research project, your comprehensive exams, your dissertations. The reason I decided to do this video is I frequently am asked by students about where can they get data. One of the first places that I tell students to go is ICPSR, which is housed at the University of Michigan. It's basically an information data repository for a whole host of different topics, criminology and criminal justice included. So I'm not going to get all involved with the plethora of information that they have here. I'm going to restrict this conversation to finding data. So that's the purpose, find data. How do I do it? So I'm at ICPSR, beautiful website. I'm going to go to find data. And I was here earlier, so some of the search terms are populated. So for an object lesson, I'm just going to pull up Pathways to Desistance. That's a data set that's well known in criminology and criminal justice. And see, it pulls it right up. So Pathways to Desistance data set. It's a multi-wave data set, so there'll be a lot of different sets that you would download for that, or you could just, pick or choose whichever wave that you were interested in. So you see the popularity of the Pathways to Desistance data set. Here's got over 30,000 downloads, 582 reported publications associated with the data set. As I tell my students, you really have to read about any data set that you use, clearly Pathways included. There'll be a snippet that you should read about the data set. They'll have different options available. You can look at the data and documentation, the variables, the data-related publications, which we'll look at in just a second here. So for all practical purposes, let's pretend you did all your research about Pathways data. You've looked at and examined the code book. You have to. You need to know the methodology of the data. And you want to download it. So here's the baseline. Again, this multi-wave. Here's the baseline. You would go to download. Here's the code book. And you would download it in whatever format that you needed, which was associated with whichever statistical software program that you tend to use. So Stata, R, SPSS, SAS. You can get it in ASCII files with the individual types of setup associated with the different programs. But clearly you need the code book. So get the code book. I frequently use SPSS or M+, and M+ is a different thing altogether. So there you go, and you would save it, open it, use it how you would, but clearly you need to know about your data, what variables are there. Here, there's a little snapshot. It pulls up all the variables, which there are a lot of variables. Goes on, and it's just pages and pages of that, which you'll also get in the code book. And then data-related publications are always a good resource to check out, because here for Pathways, you'll see even very recent publications. You'll see how others are using it, which measures that they're using, how they're using them, and that will also help provide a justification for your use of measures in your own research. So tap into the publications related to that data set. So that's the Pathways data, just as an object lesson. I'm not promoting or anything like that, just using it as an example. But say you want to look for a different topic. Earlier I threw in juvenile delinquency. So let's look at juvenile delinquency, because that is a common area to look for. It has over 2,000 hits. So over at the side, scroll down here, you can streamline your parameters. So say I want to look at the United States, streamlines it some more, restriction types. So they have public use or restricted use. I'm going to select public use. A little side note on public use versus restricted use. So public use, anybody, it's available to anybody who wants to use it. Restricted use, you have to have certain security protocols in place, and you should go through IRB. So you'll get a letter from IRB usually to submit into basically an application packet to get the restricted use data. And most often they're concerned with the security protocols in place. Oftentimes they'll require a faculty member to be in on the project or lead the project. And because they're tied to an institution and an IRB and that kind of thing. And usually for, they'll have some seniority and experience to be, managing, the data. So there's a whole host of things that they may have you try to accommodate. Some places even require you to go on site to the data. I know of one in particular I'm not going to name. And then there's other data set. They just want to make sure that you have probably, you have some kind of cryptography associated with it, that the data set requires a password, that kind of thing. So each restricted use will have its own protocols in place that they expect you to basically show to them that you're prepared to take on this data, because there could be identifiers in the data when they want to make sure that human subjects are protected. So that's restricted use. So you may find that the variables you need are in a restricted use data file, and then you have to kind of go through those steps to get it. But a lot of times the public use data sets are de-identified, that can, is already in a place that's protecting human subjects, and you can download that data. So back to the search. So I pulled up juvenile delinquency data sets. Again, there's parameters on the side that you can, streamline your search. And then your investigation starts in terms of, looking at what are the available data sets out there that are, covering the issues that you're concerned with. And you would go through and look at the variables and whatnot to make sure you hit that mark. Other data sets you're probably quite familiar with are also housed here. So the NCBS, for example, National Crime Victimization Survey. So you can download the NCBS, which has multiple years of data. They have the concatenated file. Goes on and on. So you could do panel, though it wouldn't be panel because it would be different subjects, but you could look at different or multi-years of the NCBS. And then just a side note for the NCBS, sometimes they do these side investigations or special topics associated with the NCBS. So they have the police public contact survey, have a stalking supplement, those kind of things. So here they have a supplemental fraud survey. So you can also not just get the NCBS, but you can pull these supplemental surveys. Anyway, that's just another example. So quick little search here of the ICPSR. If you're looking for data, I recommend them. It's a beautiful website, and hopefully that gets you on your way to getting the data that you need to do whatever project you're trying to get done. So with that, I hope you have a good day. Hope you found the video helpful, and please take care. Bye-bye.